Imagine improving your life by just 1% every day. Sounds too small to matter. But in 1 year, that tiny change could make you nearly 38 times better. That's exactly what James Clear explains in Atomic Habits. And in the next 20 minutes, we're breaking down 10 of his most powerful ideas, including the hidden 4-step loop running behind every habit you have, good or bad, and a 2-minute trick that makes it almost impossible to skip the habits you actually want to keep. Stick around, because the last idea in this video explains why most people quit right before their habits were about to pay off. You just heard the headline number. Here's why it actually works the way it does. If a plane leaving New York adjusts its course by just 3.5 degrees, it doesn't land in a slightly different part of Los Angeles. It lands in Washington, D.C., a completely different city, hundreds of miles away. That's what small, repeated changes actually do. They don't feel dramatic in the moment, so we dismiss them. But compounded over time, tiny inputs produce wildly different destinations. The math works because each gain compounds on top of the last one, the same way interest compounds in a bank account. And the reverse is just as brutal. Get 1% worse each day, and you decline nearly to zero. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. You will almost never notice the difference between a day you did the habit and a day you didn't. What you'll notice is the difference between the version of you that repeated it for a year and the version that didn't. But knowing that math is one thing, actually organizing your life around it is another. And that's where most people's first mistake begins, with the wrong target entirely. If you and your rival both want the same goal, and one of you wins, did the goal actually cause the difference? Almost certainly not. Every competitor wants to win. What separates them is the process they followed every day, long before the outcome was decided. Clear's argument is blunt. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. A goal is a direction. A system is the daily process that actually gets you there. There's a second problem too. The second you hit the goal, the pressure that was driving you disappears. People who chase a finish line instead of a way of living often regress right after they arrive. And the surprising part is, this isn't even the most powerful idea in the book. Because even the best system falls apart if it's fighting against who you believe you are. There are 3 layers to change. On the outside, outcomes, what you get. In the middle, process, what you do. Underneath both, identity, what you believe about yourself. Most people change from the outside in, pick an outcome, then find a process. Clear argues real change runs the other way. Start with who you wish to become, and let habits become the evidence. 2 people decline a cigarette. One says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Same refusal, but only one is speaking from a settled identity, and that's the one that survives next week's stress. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single vote transforms you overnight, but everyone still counts in the record. The goal isn't perfection, it's stacking enough small votes that the identity eventually becomes true. Identity explains why a habit sticks, but it doesn't explain how one gets built in the first place. And that starts with a loop running quietly behind everything you do. Every habit, good or bad, runs on the same 4-step loop. A cue signals a reward might be near. A craving is the motivational spark, the desire for that reward. A response is the habit itself. A reward satisfies the craving and teaches your brain the loop is worth repeating. The loop doesn't care whether the habit is good for you. A notification cue, the craving for validation, picking up your phone, a new like. Same four-step architecture as lacing up your shoes at the same cue every morning, wanting that post-run feeling, running, and getting it. You don't need more motivation. You need a better designed loop. Once you see the loop, the rest of the book is a toolkit for editing it. 4 levers, 1 per stage, clear calls, the 4 laws of behavior change. That's exactly where we're headed next. The first law works on the cue. You're far more likely to do a habit you can literally see. Visible fruit gets eaten more than hidden fruit, and visible junk food gets eaten more too. Visibility beats willpower. 2 tools follow. Habit stacking. Attach a new habit to an existing one. After I do my current habit, I will do my new habit. So your routine becomes the cue. Environment design. Shape your space so good cues are obvious and bad ones are hidden. Want to read more? Leave the book on your pillow. Want less phone? Charge it in another room. Every habit is initiated by a cue. We are more likely to notice cues that stand out. Your environment is quietly doing most of the deciding for you. Now that the habit's obvious, though, the next challenge is making yourself actually want to do it. A friend of mine wanted to exercise every day, but motivation never lasted past day 5. So he made one rule. He could only watch his favorite show while walking on the treadmill. Nowhere else. No exceptions. Within a month, exercise wasn't a chore. It was what he looked forward to. That's temptation bundling. Pairing something you need to do with something you want to do. So the want lends its pull to the need. It works because of the craving stage from before. Dopamine spikes at the anticipation of a reward, not just its arrival, which is why anticipation can motivate more than the payoff itself. We imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, the many, and the powerful. We also unconsciously copy the habits of people close to us, the majority around us, and people we admire. So joining a culture where a habit is already the norm is one of the fastest ways to make it attractive. But here's where most people misunderstand this. Wanting a habit still isn't the same as being able to start it. That's a different problem entirely. The third law is where most plans quietly fail, because they're built on motivation, the least reliable resource you have. Clear's fix: reduce friction until starting takes almost no willpower. The 2-minute rule: scale any habit down to 2 minutes or less. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. Full workout becomes put on my workout clothes. 2 minutes isn't the whole habit. Showing up, even this small, is what builds the identity. The Goldilocks rule: motivation peaks when a task sits right on the edge of your current ability. Not so easy, it's boring. Not so hard, it's discouraging. The most effective form of learning is practice, not planning. The flip side works for bad habits too. Make them harder. Delete the app. Leave the credit card at home. Every bit of added friction is one more chance for a conscious decision to interrupt the automatic one. You've made it obvious, attractive, and easy to start. But there's still one more piece. The habit has to feel worth repeating tomorrow, not just today. The fourth law works on the reward. We're wired to prefer immediate rewards over delayed ones, even much bigger delayed ones. Exercise pays off in months. The couch pays off in seconds. Fix it by attaching immediate, visible satisfaction to slow payoff habits. Simplest version: habit tracking. An X on a calendar every day you follow through, turning invisible progress into something you can watch grow. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. And the real goal isn't an unbroken streak. It's never missing twice in a row. 1 skipped day is an accident. 2 is the start of a new habit. And here's the part almost nobody warns you about. The moment right before a habit finally pays off, is usually the moment it feels most like it's failing. Picture an ice cube in a room slowly warming from 25 degrees to 28. Nothing visibly happens. Then the room hits 32, and all at once the ice melts. The change looks instant, but the work behind it was happening the whole time. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. The reason most people quit right before results show up. Early progress is stored, not displayed, and it's easy to mistake invisible progress for no progress. The most powerful outcomes are always delayed. This is why the identity work matters. If a habit depends on visible results to keep you motivated, you quit during the flat part of the curve. Tied to identity instead, you keep going simply because this is who I am now. This isn't just theory. One real team proved it on one of the biggest stages in sports. In 2003, British cycling had gone nearly 100 years without a Tour de France winner. A new coach found every conceivable 1% improvement across the entire operation and stacked them together. Redesigned seats, tested recovery gels, riders washing hands more to avoid colds, even each rider's own pillow on the road. No single change moved the needle alone. Stacked together, within about 5 years, that team was winning the Tour de France. Within a decade, riders trained under that philosophy had claimed dozens of Olympic and World Championship golds. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. Same principle as the very start of this video, just applied at scale. Enough 1% gains, compounded long enough, stop looking small and start looking like a different team entirely. Here's the idea we promised. Most people quit during the flat part of the curve, right before the compounding was about to become visible. They mistake no results yet for not working, when really the work was already banking itself. One tiny habit won't change your life today, but the habit you repeat tomorrow just might change who you become forever. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to Book Croc.